the things that is super important in the Vuelta is freshness.
Yeah.
And it's we never know how somebody's going to recover from the Tour. Between the Tour and the Vuelta, there's not that much time. It's physical recovery, mental recovery. Almeida was in great shape. He had the crash. It depends how fast he could train again, but I suspect it was pretty early. He could train again, and he's mentally and physically fresh. That's a huge advantage.
Hi, I'm Spencer Martin, along with Johan Bruyneel, and this is Outcomes. Outcomes is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing in this podcast should be considered financial advice. Please gamble responsibly, and if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, seek help from a professional resource. Hosts and guests may have financial interest in the bets discussed. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Hey everybody, welcome back to Outcomes. I'm Spencer Martin. I'm here with Johan Bruyneel. We are predicting the 21-stage Vuelta a España, which starts this Saturday in Torino, Italy, confusingly, and runs through September 14th, and we'll finish in Madrid. It's the third Grand Tour of the season. We will also predict the opening stage in Torino on Saturday. And then after that, we will switch to the Move Plus, and we will have a daily stage breakdown show with our outcomes predictions at the end of that show every day. So if you're listening, watching, just come back to this feed. You'll see us every day of this race. Johan, I'll just give a quick overview of the course, and then I'll list the odds about who the favorites are to win, and then we win the overall, and we'll predict it, and then we'll go to stage one after that. But as we said, 21 stages. The big highlights are this is extremely hard, climb-heavy course. For example, there are 11 summit finishes, which is a lot, like a lot. There are there's 10 summit finishes. One difficult uphill finish, one less difficult uphill finish on a hilly stage. Only 3 stages that I've classified as a sprint stage, 2 time trials, 1 27-kilometer individual time trial, 1 24-kilometer long team time trial. We're getting that back. 11 stages over 3,000 meters of climbing, 3 stages over 4,000 meters of climbing, 6 stages with climbs over 10K in length, and 9 summit finishes over 8 kilometers in length, and 2 stages over 200 kilometers. It stays after it leaves Piedmont in Italy. It goes into France, and then they go into Spain for the first time trial on stage 5. And then we're just hugging that northern coast. The most southern it gets is your hometown, Madrid, but expect mountainous, cool to chilly, perhaps even rainy weather along that entire northern coast. It's beautiful. Should be pretty exciting racing. I'll list off the favorites for the overall, and then we'll guess who's going to win. But Jonas Vingegaard is the massive favorite, the Tour de France runner-up at minus 250. João Almeida plus 550. Juan Ayuso, his teammate, plus 550. Giulio Ciccone, plus 2,000. Antonio Tibri, plus 2,500. Egan Bernal, plus 3,300. Ben O'Connor, plus 4,000. Jai Hindley, plus 4,000. Felix Gall, plus 6,600. Matteo Jorgensen's, plus 6,600. It goes on and on. And again, we still have our partnership with NextBet. So if you want to get the best deal and the best sign-up bonus and know where you can bet wherever you live, go to nxtbets.com/betoutcomes to find that out. But Johan, who do you see winning this race? I mean, the obvious choice is Vingegaard. The market thinks that, but I'm not totally convinced this is going to be a cakewalk.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, let's start with the fact that it's the Vuelta a España. So it's the third big stage race of the year. I mean, usually it's kind of the rematch, or somebody who has not gotten what they thought they would get, then it's kind of the second opportunity. I mean, it's difficult to say that Vingegaard has failed, right? I mean, he was still second in the Tour. He was the second strongest rider, I mean, he's the big favorite. He has to win this, especially as you said, 11 uphill finishes, mountain heavy. Plus, he has a really strong team. Visma obviously came here with a lot of ambition. They sent Sepp Kuss and Jorgensen and Kampenaerts and Kelderman and Van Baarle and name them, So, I think Jonas wins this. The only thing is, I just read actually today a little interview. I only saw the title, but it said somewhere that he had been sick in this week leading up to the Vuelta. Never a good sign. we don't know if it's a smoke screen or not. But normally, quality-wise, he's the best rider. I mean, he's the second best rider in the world in terms of stage races, and especially on climbs. And this Vuelta is in the mountains almost every day. We've been in a situation like this 2 years ago, right, where Jonas was the second strong. I mean, actually, he won the Tour, I guess.
Yeah, he won the Tour in 2023. Went to the Vuelta.
Yeah, and then Sepp Kuss won, right? Sepp Kuss won, and difficult for me to see an identical scenario. And I think Jonas wants to go for this. Sepp Kuss, I think, is not in the same shape as back then, although he did a great Tour de France. But yeah, no. Jonas Vingegaard, my favorite to win this.
Yeah, I actually kind of wonder if he regrets giving, because let's be honest, he was flying at that Vuelta. Mm-hmm. He could have won that Vuelta. He gives away that win, or he gifts the win, doesn't contest the win against Sepp Kuss, and then that's the last major. I mean, I'm stretching the definition of the word major here, but the last Grand Tour, at least, that he could have won. He has not won a Grand Tour since that year. He won Tirreno, he's won Tour of Poland, he's won Algarve and O Gran Camino since then, but it kind of goes to show you like why you should just take the opportunity when you get it, because you don't know when it's going to come again, because he's rolling up to this Vuelta now. And yes, Sepp Kuss might not be on the form to challenge him, but that UAE team, I mean, we should say Jonas's Visma team, incredibly strong, like Tour de France team strong. Outside of him, they have Axel Zingel, Victor Kempenarts, Matteo Jorgensen, Wilco Kelderman, Sepp Kuss, Ben Toulet, Dylan Van Barle. Like, that's a very strong team. They are ready to go here. But UAE has Juan Ayuso and João Almeida, the two GC cadets for them. Ayuso didn't look great at San Sebastian, got dropped. I never like to see that at the beginning or a few weeks out of a Grand Tour target. But if there's pressure on Jonas, like if Jonas has to win this, these guys also have a lot of pressure on them, because they are on a team with Tadej Pogacar and Isaac Del Toro, and they're fighting for a very limited number of GC leadership slots. And like, this is kind of it. This is the time to prove that you can take one of those spots. You know, you could imagine losing to Vingegaard, and that's okay, but they almost can't afford to lose to each other. So they're going to be very motivated to do as good as they can. I think Vingegaard at minus 250, like, well, he is the favorite. He's probably going to win, but coming out of that Tour, I don't know. The longer I have to reflect on that, he had a decent third week. He matched Pogacar, but I don't know. Like, was he stronger than he was the year before after he had the disrupted run-in, the failure to win that stage with Arnsman hanging out there? That still just like doesn't sit that right with me. And then I think about Almeida, like eventually these younger guys will start to put pressure on the established stars, Jonas Vingegaard being one of them. I'm going to pick this as João Almeida's breakout race. I like him at plus 550. I'm going to go out on a limb and pick João Almeida to win this race. I'm not going to pick Juan Ayuso because we've not heard great things about his preparation, but he's another guy. Like, if he's as good as we hear he is, he should at least be in contention for winning this. I'm going to pick Almeida out of those two. I was super impressed with this season up to the Tour when he crashed out. I think he recovered from that pretty well. He went right into training for this race. So it's almost worked out as if he's targeting this race all along. I'm going to go João Almeida.
Yeah, well, I think in terms of quality and you know, being the big engines we're looking for, I think Almeida is the guy who could eventually match Jonas. I don't see anybody else who can even come close.
Let's not forget, they don't have the horsepower, right?
It's a long time ago. It seems a long time ago, but there is one rider who beat Jonas Vingegaard in 2 uphill finishes before the Tour. One in Algarve and one in Paris-Nice, and that's João Almeida.
Yeah.
You know, it's a long time ago. You could say, okay, it's irrelevant, but he did beat Jonas, and Jonas was going for it back then. It was the beginning of the season. So I think, you know, we said it all along. I mean, without the crash in the Tour, that Almeida was the third strongest stage racer of this peloton, at least this season.
Yeah.
he already showed before the crash that he was going to be the key guy for Tadej. Finally, Tadej didn't need him, but at least since his crash, he could focus on himself and his own ambitions, his own goals. And this is a great opportunity for João Almeida. I like that pick, Spencer. It's not bad. And especially, what is it, plus 550?
Plus 550. He's won
that's good.
3 World Tour stage races this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Jonas Vingegaard hasn't won a World Tour stage race since 2024. So, if we're just picking recent form, it's not crazy. And as you said, like, he was doing well. I also would love, I think I started the season by saying,
and Almeida also, Spencer, one of the things that is super important in the Vuelta is freshness.
Yeah.
And it's we never know how somebody's going to recover from the Tour. Between the Tour and the Vuelta, there's not that much time. It's physical recovery, mental recovery. Almeida was in great shape. He had the crash. It depends how fast he could train again, but I suspect it was pretty early. He could train again, and he's mentally and physically fresh. That's a huge advantage.
Yeah, I mean, think of that third week of the Tour, how waxed everybody looked. Like, even Pogačar looked miserable. And Almeida missed all of that. So, we'll see. It's unclear to me if, like, completing a Tour that hard and then rolling up to the Vuelta is the best preparation you could do, or if specifically preparing for it is better. I'm just going to bet that preparing for it is better than the death march that was the Tour. I also would love Almeida to prove me wrong, because ever since I said he can't win, he's just been doing nothing but winning. So I want to see this streak continue to go. In terms of who can challenge them, who do you think could finish on the podium here behind them? Because someone will finish third in this race.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, we have Ayuso, we have Jay Hindley, we have Ben O'Connor, Egan Bernal, Felix Gall, who just finished 5th in the Tour. Pidcock, I don't think so. I mean, he's, I think Pidcock's goal is have a top 10 and stage wins, but we have never seen Pidcock compete at the podium level. It's I personally think that he has the potential to do it, but he hasn't prepared specifically his season for Grand Tour. So I'm going to go with, there's Ben O'Connor, who's been second at the Vuelta. There's Jay Hindley, who won Giro and was second at the Giro. I don't know if I'm saying this because that's the way I think it will go, or it's just because I have always been a fan of him and I would love to see him do well. I'm going to go for Egan Bernal for the third spot.
He's plus 800 for the podium.
I think, he's a solid rider. He's definitely not the Egan Bernal anymore that we saw coming onto the scene. I mean, maybe he is numbers wise, but he probably is better.
He
now.
Probably might be a little bit better, actually.
But unfortunately, he won the Tour in 2019. Unfortunately, that if you produce those numbers, you're not there anymore. But yeah, I'm going to go Egan Bernal for the podium.
So I don't agree with you. I think Bernal, I worry because Bernal was losing time in the Giro on the climbs, and then this is like nothing but climbs. So that has me concerned. But we're going through the podium contenders here, and it gets dicier than you think, because like Ayuso would be the obvious choice, but I don't know. I don't feel great about that situation. Like we was potentially not at a team camp prior to this. I don't like to hear people are at home.
He actually said in an interview that this is the first time he does a Grand Tour without having specifically prepared for it, which, sometimes may turn out to be the right way, because you can start without any big expectations, not much pressure. But I think a rider like Ayuso has the pressure on no matter what. He puts pressure on himself. Plus, it's Tour of Spain. The Spanish media expects him to do well. So I think we should take him to account for the podium, although we haven't seen anything that could indicate that he's on that level right now.
Yeah, and so if you assume he's not on the level, then it starts to get dicey fast, because Giulio Ciccone is the next favorite. looks enticing, right? He just won San Sebastian. Guy's flying. Guy looked great at the Giro. Here's the issue with Ciccone. He's never top 10 a Grand Tour. He's never finished on a podium at one of the top 7 1-week stage races. But he's 30 years old. Potentially, he's not a stage racer.
Mm-hmm.
We'll never know how he would have finished at this year's Giro. I think maybe he would have struggled on the Finestra, but we don't know. So if you don't feel super confident in that, you go to Tiberi. Well, is he a good enough climber? I don't know. And then Bruyneel, well, he's pretty consistent actually. So maybe he's not a terrible pick. Ben O'Connor, how's he going to be? That's a lot of consistency needed. Jai Hindley, we don't know how he is. I think this all takes me to Felix Gall, plus 800. He just finished 5th at the Tour, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah. 5th.
And this race is much better for him than the Tour was. This is actually just Felix Gall's best terrain surfed up over and over again. So I'm going to go Gall for the podium at plus 800.
Okay. Yeah. With the confidence, obviously the 5th place for him at the Tour was a huge result. And he's shown in some of the mountain stages that he was able to be, the best of the rest, was able to attack a few times. So, does he still have his form from the Tour de France? That's another question. But listen, we have to take him into account. Felix Gall, he's one of the guys.
Well, let's take a quick ad break, and then I have 2 more GC questions for you, and then we'll get into the stage. Everybody, this episode is brought to you by Hims. No one really plans for hair loss, but through Hims, you can take the next step with confidence. Hims gives you 100% online access to personalized prescription treatments designed to stop hair loss and regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. We're talking doctor-trusted, clinically proven ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil, the real stuff that works. You don't need another hat. You need a plan. And with Hims, that plan is simple, convenient, and tailored directly for you. No waiting rooms, no hoops, no hidden fees, just expert care delivered right to your door. Whether it's choose oral meds, sprays, or serums, Hims has treatments that fit your lifestyle. And when you're watching this Vuelta, you're going to see mops on João Almeida, Juan Ayuso. You're going to need a confidence boost, and nobody gives you that like Hims. Think of Hims as your digital front door to feeling like yourself again. Get started today, and by fall, you could be seeing a fuller head of hair. For simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/themove. That's Hims, HIMS.com/themove for your free online visit. Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. All right, Johan, we're back. So my first of my 2 GC questions, young rider for classification. Also, remember, if you're listening to this and you just want to bet, you can always wait on GC. Like, if none of this sounds convincing to you, you can just wait. Like, if Almeida comes out and is what's going to happen is also Ciccone is going to have the red jersey after stage 2. He's going to win stage 2. He's going to be in the race lead. Everyone's going to be, Ciccone. So the odds might even move in your favor. Like, if you want to bet on Almeida, maybe Almeida doesn't look great. Maybe Vingegaard doesn't look great. You don't know. So you can always wait. Just keep your powder dry. But just for the sake of fun, young rider for classification, Juan Ayuso is at plus 100, Tiberi plus 300, Giulio Pellizzari plus 450, Matthew Riccatello plus 1200. Who do you think wins this young riders classification?
I think you have to go Ayuso. I mean, just something tells me, he's been a bit off, after his abandoning the Giro. But, the Vuelta is one of those races where sometimes you see a guy grow in the race. He's definitely going to be motivated. I can't see any of those other young guys do better than Ayuso, actually. Unless Ayuso is all or nothing, that's also a possibility. He just goes, winning is difficult, but, second or third. If he doesn't get that, then he may say, oh, you know what, I'm giving up, or, I'm not motivated anymore, and try to go for stage wins. But
he's got to show something to the team, though, right?
Yeah. I'm curious, actually, Spencer, to see how it's going to be. We've seen it already many times, but UAE without Pogacar has been sometimes. They
could get lost. They could just take a wrong turn.
A spectacle of what's going on here. So, Almeida and Ayuso, they're both ambitious. Personally, I have to say though, we always, we, as I say, we, the media, I think we always make it bigger than it is. I don't really think there's a big issue, with it internally. We like to see an issue, we like to make it an issue, but is there really an issue? I'm not sure. It's usually the road that decides who's the strongest, and especially the riders themselves. They know amongst each other who's the best, and I saw, for example, not that it's, very significant, but, Ayuso has been criticized for being, not a team player. I've seen him do some of those races in the Basque Country. And of course, it's easier to do that when you're not in top shape, right? But he's done the job for Del Toro, for example. There's one race that Del Toro won there in the Basque Country. I forget now which one it was, but it was an unbelievable lead out on the climb of Juan Ayuso. First time I saw him do this, by the way, for someone else. But, I think we kind of exaggerate those situations a bit for the sake of sensationalism,
Oh, it's fun. Yeah, we need it. Yeah. I need to think that they're fighting constantly. And you do hint at this race could get really weird really fast, especially if you imagine Jorgensen's in a breakaway. Same thing that happened in 2023. Sepp Kuss gets up the road. Everyone's staring at Soudal Quickstep. Quickstep says, we're not going to pull. And everything falls apart really fast. There is a danger that Jai Hindley gets in a move and gets 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Exactly what we saw last year with Ben O'Connor. So this will be I think a difficult race to navigate. I'd assume with two riders like Ayuso and Almeida that UAE will try to have a rider in a move like that. But I don't know, Jay Vine maybe. But actually, if Jay Vine's up the road with Matteo Jorgensen, who feels more confident in that, Visma or UAE? Mm-hmm. So, and if Jai Hindley's in there, maybe Red Bull feels the most confident. The funniest outcome would be Jai Hindley winning this race and then adding to the drama at Red Bull next year where they have a guy coming off of Vuelta to win.
It's been a while since we've seen something of Jay Hindley indicating that, there might be a possibility. This year, his best race was Tirreno, I think. Other than that, Tour of the Alps, he was okay, not great. Then the Giro, he crashed out. That's obviously not standard. And then, Burgos, he was not at the level we expected him to be. So it would be a surprise, but never count out. Jay Hindley is obviously a quality rider. We can never discard a rider like that. But, we haven't seen anything hopeful this year for the moment. The Vuelta special, though, it's physical, but it's especially mental. At the end of the season, there's many riders who don't want to be there, and they have to be there.
What's kind of intriguing, so this young rider, I would also love to see Matthew Riccatello plus 1,200 win the young rider classification. That would be amazing. But it's kind of seen as like a fluky Grand Tour, but I went back and looked. It's actually more predictive of the following year than you think. 2011, Chris Froome's first, but not really. He finishes second. Bradley Wiggins finishes third. The next year at the Tour, it's Wiggins winning the Tour, Froome second, and then Froome is dominant for the next 8 years of the Tour de France. 2019, Tadej Pogacar's third. I think he wins 3 stages.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to win the Tour the next year and then has been dominant since then. So they're actually the young rider classification at the Vuelta is actually quite important and can be very predictive of who's going to be a star in the future. So I am watching that closely. I think, you're right. Ayuso probably wins plus 100. If you want to put money on that now, that might be the best price you get. The second one, Mads Pedersen. So points classification. Mads Pedersen, who's on amazing form, minus 182. Jasper Philipsen plus 350. Jonas Vingegaard plus 450. Axel Zingel plus 2,200. Ciccone plus 3,300. It's probably between Pedersen and Philipsen, even with the lack of sprint stages. There's only 3 true sprint stages. Who do you think is going to win this?
Not sure. I would need to look at the way the points are attributed, but it has happened in the Vuelta that, many times already, that a classification rider won the points jersey. Many times it has happened. Now, I would like to look into the details. I haven't studied the way that the points work. But I think Pedersen, he's on great form. He's such a complete rider. There's many stages where he can score points where the sprinters won't score points. Anybody who's seen him race, it was Tour of Denmark, of course. He was super motivated. The field was not super, super strong, but still there were some good riders. But the way he dominated there, and he's been preparing for the Vuelta. As being, knowing that he wasn't selected for the Tour, he'll want to make a statement. He did win the points jersey in the Giro, right? So if Giro, he did. Winning it in the Giro and the Vuelta would definitely be a statement from him, and I could see him do it.
Well, in the last 3 Vueltas have been Caden Groves, Mads Pedersen, winner of the points jersey. So that does tell you it's quite possible. I'm trying to figure out. I'm looking at last year's race, summit finish.
Yeah, it's similar, Spencer. It's quite similar.
So it's like 20 points for a summit finish, 50 points for a sprint finish. Actually, yeah, Pedersen at minus 182 if he stays healthy. It's actually hard for me to see him losing this.
Yeah,
yeah, I would probably go for that. Team, 15 years into covering bike racing, I don't fully understand the team classification, but UAE Team Emirates is plus 130, V's Melissa Bike plus 275. Probably one of those teams going to win the team classification, I would assume.
Yeah, listen, it's always been, the last few years, it's Visma and UAE. I also think that it's not a classification that these teams specifically go for, and it just comes to them, right? Whenever, if you have 3 guys always in the front. The team classification, the way it works is every stage is the top 3 riders of every team, and it's an addition. It's not like it's not the classification. It's per day. Every day you start over. Yeah. You start over. So. This is the 2 strongest teams. It has to be one of those teams that wins it.
Sometimes it can help you to have a dysfunctional team because you have 2 guys trying to beat each other. So their cumulative position is better than if they're actually working together.
Back in the days, it was sometimes certain teams played with breakaways, and when a team got, let's say, whatever, a breakaway that caught 10 minutes and they had 3 riders in it, that means that's 30 minutes that day you're getting. But those times are gone. That's not happening anymore.
Yeah. No.
So it needs to be one of those 2 teams, Spencer, UAE or Visma.
And then I guess mountains classification. This is real dangerous territory. Going into the Vuelta, you're trying to predict the Vuelta mountains classification. I'd rather just not even touch that. It tends to be. Is it the rider that wins the overall often wins the mountains classification?
With 11 uphill finishes, that's very likely.
It would seem hard, to not win the mountains classification if you win the overall. I did see last year Johan won instead of Primoz. But
he did. He actually wasn't he in sprinting with Wout van Aert until Wout crashed? Because Wout was going to win.
You're right, because Wout was probably going to win.
Wout was going to win mountains and points, I think, until he crashed out. And so basically then finally Johan got it, I think. Yeah.
Well, that's a stay away from. But let's take a quick break, and then we will predict Saturday's stage 1. Hey everybody, this episode is brought to you by Mint Mobile. You know what doesn't belong in your epic summer plans? Getting burned by your old wireless bill. While you're planning beach trips, barbecues, or long weekends for this upcoming holiday weekend, your wireless bill should be the last thing holding you back. That's why I've made the switch to Mint Mobile, and you should too. With Mint, I get the same coverage and speed I'm used to, but for way less money. All their plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network. This is especially important for me since I have a phone dedicated to streaming pro cycling wherever I am for my work on this podcast and my newsletter. And for that phone, I use Mint due to the reliable service, high speeds, and flexible plans, even while abroad. While I was away this summer in the UK and France, trying to stream as much as possible, Mint got it right to me so I could talk to you guys about it. as quickly as possible. And so say bye-bye to dropping monthly bills and unexpected overages. Right now, Mint Mobile is offering 3 months of unlimited premium wireless service for just $15 a month. Seriously, I'm saving so much compared to my old provider, and this service has been fantastic. This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get this new customer offer in your 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/themove. That's mintmobile.com/themove. All right, back to the episode. Okay, Johan, so stage 1 of the Vuelta. It is a sprint stage, but this is, make no mistake, if you ever watch a Grand Tour and you're like, oh man, why is there so many sprint stages? This is the Grand Tour for you, because there's not very many sprint stages. This is like basically one of 3. It's in Torino, Italy. Must have a lot of money, I assume, because of this is the 3rd Grand Tour in 3 years that's been to Torino. So Torino is, I actually wonder how the Giro feels about the Tour and the Vuelta like stepping on their turf a little bit, because this is...
Yeah, and then you have the Giro not starting in Italy.
yeah.
Well, so where did it start? This year in Albania, right?
Albania, and then I hear Bulgaria next year, perhaps.
And then a few years ago, started in Hungary.
And then
they're famous for, I mean, I guess the Grand Tours just don't want to start in their own country, which is obviously because another country pays a lot of money to have the grande part of, a Grand Tour.
Yeah. And so it is kind of funny though, because so Torino's spending all this money for the Vuelta, but it's like, well, that's money that could have gone to the Giro. But I'm actually excited to see this region. So I'm glad we're back. I like it there. I like the racing there. But the favorite for the stage, Jasper Philipsen plus 110, Mads Pedersen plus 450, Casper Van Uden plus 700, Ethan Verdon plus 900, Arne Marit plus 1600. It goes on, but we'll call them out when we need to. It's a pretty straightforward finish. It's flat and straight for the last, I say straight for the last 4K. There are multiple, what appears to be 4 or 5 roundabouts they have to go through, and then a slight bend to the right on the finish line. But I assume it's going to be bunch sprint. Johan, do you agree? And then who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, I think it's bunch sprint, especially if there's almost no opportunities for the sprinters. And I'm going to pick Jasper Philipsen, although, I mean, he's the heavy favorite, but I'm going to do that because if I look at the team, it's a team built around the sprinter. They have the best lead-out train. They have Philipsen. They have Edward Plankard. They have Jonas Vingegaard. They have Oscar Riesebeek. Those guys are like made for that kind of job. Tobias Bayer, also fast guy. Gal Glivar. This is a team with one mission. It's the sprints for Philipsen. Same thing a little bit as Almeida, right? He crashed out in stage 3, I guess, or 2. No, 2 or 3.
It was
stage 2. He won stage 1.
No. Wait. Yeah, Philipsen, you're talking about. Yeah. It must have been stage 2, right?
Yeah.
In the intermediate sprint.
No,
is that right?
Because it must have been stage 3 because it was definitely stage 3 because stage 1 he was in yellow. When he crashed, he was not in yellow, so it must have been stage 3. Yeah. Anyways, crashed out early, broke his collarbone. I mean, I met him a few weeks ago in Spain. He told me he had surgery on the collarbone, and he also had a few broken ribs. He was banged up. I mean, that was a bad crash. Really looked bad. But he's back. He's already raced in. Where did he race? He did Germany. He did the Hamburg Classic, right?
Yeah, he did Tour of Denmark and then the Hamburg Classic.
He did Tour of Denmark, correct? Yeah,
he got cleaned up by Pedersen.
Yeah. I mean, Pedersen didn't allow almost any bunch sprints. He attacked every day. But Philipsen. This is the stage that this team will definitely work for it to be a bunch sprint, and I think they have faith in Philipsen.
Yeah, a little bit of a diversion, but that Hamburg Classic. Did you see that finish with Rory Townsend winning? Pretty impressive, holding those guys off. Philipsen's the favorite for a reason. I do agree with you. He probably wins, but I'm going to pick Mads Pedersen plus 450 just because I don't Yeah, I have some inside intel that maybe he was looking for a boat recently, maybe not so focused on his training. Just you can kind of imagine, like, first day of a Grand Tour, like stuff can go wrong. Like we saw at the Tour de France. So we should spread our bets around so we're not leveraged on someone dropping a chain 5K to go and they're stuck on the side of the road. If Philipsen has any problems, I think Pedersen probably wins. So I'm going to go with him at plus 450.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Although Pedersen is not a pure sprinter, but I think in this field, we have to consider Pedersen one of the sprinters.
Yeah. Do you have a wild card? I would almost have Pedersen as my favorite and wild card. I guess you
have a Jasper van Uden, who's a sprinter. He's not been doing great lately.
That's the problem with a lot of these sprinters.
Yeah. No, it's Philipsen and Pedersen, man. They kind of stick out above everybody else.
The only one that actually sticks out to me, but I wonder who he's working for, is Jake Stewart. He's plus 2,800 to win. I thought he should have been probably their sprinter at the Tour, but who is he working for here? Let me check really quick. Who's on this Israel team?
Oh, Ethan Vernon.
Ethan Vernon, yeah. So I'll be working for Ethan Vernon. So don't pick Jake Stewart. All right. Yeah. So my favorite and wild card is Mads Pedersen. I think it's probably one of Philipsen or Pedersen that wins. Anything else, Johan, before we take off?
No, that's it. We'll be back Saturday, I guess, for our daily show. And I'm excited to watch these guys. And especially on this course, man, it's a hard Vuelta. It's mentally, this is hard, man. The last Grand Tour of the year. Hats off to Jonas Vingegaard. He focused everything on the Tour, rode a great race, wasn't able to win, and now to be able to recharge the batteries and come back and go for it again. That's quite something.
Yeah, I mean, you and I know someone who always talks about how he would never want to go to the Vuelta after the Tour. I think it's probably risen in prestige since then, but I actually can't imagine getting second at that Tour and then it's like, all right, let's fire it back up.
Yeah,
doing the Vuelta, that's impressive.
Mm-hmm. It is.
All right, well, thanks, Johan, and we will be back on Saturday after the stage to break it down.
Okay, thanks, Spencer.
All right, bye.